Trying to eat healthier is one thing many people are looking to add to their lifestyle. And it's not always easy with work, managing your class schedules, and kids. But it's something we all think about when we go to the grocery store and it comes time to cook a meal. Today I'm joined by Natalie Allen, clinical instructor in the dietetics program, who's going to share a few healthy eating tips with us on this episode of Bear Show How to Cook a Family-Friendly Meal. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning.
I'm glad you could join us today. So what are we going to be making today?
We're going to be making sweet and spicy chicken. I think it's a great recipe for families, especially those with young children, because it can be altered to meet their preferences. Hopefully it's also things that you have currently in your pantry. A lot of staples that most people have around chicken. Your meat can be frozen, so you could buy that in advance. And the great thing about this meal is it's low in fat. You can alter the carbohydrates to meet your needs, and it's high in a lean protein source, and it has vegetables. So it meets a lot of requirements that we like to look for in a meal, and it's pretty balanced, and it's easy to make. So let's get started. First thing we're gonna do here is cut the chicken. Okay, and you wanna cut it in bite-sized pieces, and one of my favorite utensils to use in the kitchen is these kitchen shears. They're easy, you don't have to worry about having a knife around. So we're gonna start cutting the chicken, but first we already added our olive oil to the pan. You don't need to use very much of this, but a little bit will keep it from sticking, and olive oil is one of our good healthy fats. All right, so you just cut your chicken. We're gonna do a couple chicken breasts. Again, you can tailor this to meet your family's needs. Bite-sized pieces are ideal. And it doesn't take too long to cook the chicken, but you wanna get it probably maybe 10 minutes of stir frying it, get it almost done, and then we're gonna add a really nice tasty sauce and also some veggies for extra nutrition.
Okay. About how long does usually the prep time take to prepare all this?
You know, the prep time's maybe 10 minutes before you start your meal, so not too long. It's pretty manageable, and like I said, hopefully things that you would have on hand. This is my kid's favorite meal, so it's kid tested, hopefully, and we can make it work for us. So we have our one chicken breast in there. We're gonna add another. You wanna add at least probably one breast per person in your household, or 1 3-ounce serving. These chicken breasts are pretty big. A normal portion of meat would be about the size of a deck of cards. So we're looking at about a pound of meat that we have here. And I'm thinking this would feed a couple of adults, or maybe adult and a couple of children. Depends on how much you eat. So what we're gonna do to our chicken today is we're gonna add some carrots, sliced carrots, and a sliced red pepper. The great thing about this recipe, though, is that you could add any vegetable that you have in your fridge that you want to use up. Start with something raw. You could use broccoli, green peppers, green beans, onions, whatever you have that your family likes. That's the beauty of this recipe. It's very flexible. The nice thing about the carrots and the red peppers is that they have a lot of nutrition. When you're looking for fruits and vegetables, you want to look for ones that have a lot of color. They tend to have more antioxidants and more vitamins. So that's why we chose the red pepper, because it adds a nice flavor and color, and then the carrots as well. So once the chicken gets started a little bit, then you add the vegetables.
Okay.
So with the chicken, you just need to stir it occasionally, keep it from sticking to the pan, but we do want it to be almost cooked when we add the sauce. But while it's cooking, we're gonna go ahead and prepare the sauce. Okay. Save us some time here. So with the sauce, it's a pretty basic kind of Asian sauce. You can make it spicy or sweeter, whichever is your preference. So we're gonna let you prepare the sauce, because this way we can show people how really, truly easy this is to make, all right? So we've already added a couple of tablespoons of honey and some brown sugar. That's our base. Then right here is a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, if you wanna add that. And we used a reduced sodium soy sauce, and I think you probably won't even notice the change. And soy sauce typically is very high in salt, so it's a nice idea to reduce it if you can. And then we have a couple of spices. One is garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic or garlic powder. Just give it a generous sprinkle in there. And the other thing we're gonna add is ginger. And ginger is actually shown to be real helpful in reducing inflammation. We think it has some properties that can be useful in multiple health issues. So it's a good thing to add. You can use fresh ginger, or we chose to use the powdered. It just depends. And this one doesn't have the,
Gotcha.
You have to be a little bit more careful on pouring it out, but we're looking at about around a teaspoon, or half a teaspoon since it's the ground ginger. And the other option that you can add is hot sauce. And if you want to add the hot sauce, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons. I don't add that in mine because it's too hot for my children then. But if you like spicy, go for it. It's not going to change the nutritional breakdown much. So you just whisk that together, and that kind of makes your generic good sauce there. The honey and the brown sugar add a nice flavor, but you're not putting a lot in there, so it doesn't really increase your calories a whole lot. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. So a couple of ways we have made this recipe healthier is we use the reduced sodium soy sauce. We're sauteing in olive oil, which is a good fat. And the other thing that we did on the chicken is you can dip your chicken in flour before you put it in, but I found that's really not necessary, and it lowers your calories and your carbohydrates in the meal, and it still tastes great, and it just saves you time if you don't have to do it. So that's another easy step to cut out that makes it still really good. So our chicken's coming right along here, and our sauce is coming right along. We'll add the vegetables when the chicken's about halfway done. Okay. So you kind of have to gauge it, and our chicken still needs a little bit more time. So I think we can go ahead and get ready to add the carrots and the red peppers. And again, the carrots are very high in vitamin A, and again, most kids like carrots, so they're a good option. You can slice them any way you want. You could cut them in tinier pieces if you need to disguise them from your kids. That's one option. And then the red pepper is really high in antioxidants, but if you'd rather have a green pepper, that's fine as well. What we're going to do today is we're going to put half the vegetables in the stir fry, and we're going to put the other half on the plate. Okay. That way it saves you time. You've only had to cut one thing, but again, it'll increase your produce consumption. So we're just going to go ahead and add some carrots here. Put those in, get those going, and then add some nice chopped red pepper. Again, do what you want. What vegetables do you like? Is there something you'd want to add?
You know, I'm a big fan of broccoli and squash.
Yeah, so that would be great in here. That would be great. I just kind of make it based on what I have at home and available. This is a good recipe to use up things. If you have a leftover veggie tray, make this the next day. Put all those veggies in there. So the veggies are going to remain crisp, which is what we want, since we added them after the chicken. And that's really ideal. So again, you see the chicken getting nice and brown here. And we're going to let it cook for just a little bit longer, and then we're going to add your nice sauce. And the sauce is where you really get the flavor and the spice here. The other thing too, if you increase your fruit and vegetable, if you have a larger family, you will need to double the sauce recipe just to make sure you have enough. But this is a good kind of a staple meal. Okay, I think we can get ready to add our sauce here. So if you want to bring it on over, give it a final whisk. And we're just going to coat everything, veggies, chicken, and all, with this nice kind of Asian sauce here. All right, you just pour it on. Yep. That looks great. Perfect. Now notice it's not a ton of sauce, which is what you want, but it's enough that we're going to let it simmer a little bit, and it's going to add a lot of flavor, and the sauce thickens as you let it cook. So it needs to cook probably at least 5 minutes like this, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay. And why do we wait to add the sauce until after the vegetables and the chicken is cooked?
Good question. You want to wait because you want your chicken to be almost done.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would absorb all the sauce when it's still cooking, and it's not going to be as flavorful. Okay. All right, I think it's done. Our chicken looks really good here. The ways you know it's finished is, number one, you might want to cut into one of your bigger pieces of chicken. Make sure it's cooked through. And the second way is you see the sauce is kind of caramelized and made a bit of a glaze on the chicken. So I think we can just go ahead and plate it up.
Okay, and what are some ways if you don't eat meat, you're a vegetarian or you're on a particular diet, what are some ways you can substitute and still make this healthy meal? You
know, a couple of things. If you're a vegetarian, you could always stir fry tofu. That would be a great protein source for you. Or your other option is to go just with a lot of veggies. It could be a good vegetarian stir fry. The sauce is general enough that it goes with almost everything. Another great thing about this meal is it would work for somebody on a gluten-free diet, somebody with celiac sprue, or somebody who's choosing to limit gluten. Even if you plated it with the rice and you ate it together, it would still be gluten-free. Okay. And make sure your soy sauce doesn't have gluten, but most of those are fine. And then you could also add any kind of meat. You could do beef, you could do a turkey cutlet, I don't know. Fish would be a little bit harder. It'd have to be a more firm fish, or of course your chicken.
Well, thank you, Natalie, for sharing with us your recipe for sweet and spicy chicken. At home, try and see how you can add healthy food to your lifestyle. And thanks for watching another episode of Bear Show How To.